Hey there. In this video, I'm going to look at whether the internet is a benefit or maybe a detriment to younger guitar players in learning to play. Stay tuned. Hi, my name is Rich Kettner. Welcome to Starry Night Guitars. I'm going to do something different in this video. Rather than playing, I'm going to talk a little bit about the internet and maybe the benefits or detriments of learning to play guitar now in the 21st century. I'm 66. I've been playing for about 55 years. So I started learning in early 70s, maybe the late 60s, probably early 70s. And when I learned to play, a very different time than today. There was no internet, obviously. And while that's a great benefit today, in some respects, I think it also can be a detriment to young guitar players. What I see in that, I'm sorry, I'm talking to my dog, Martha. Come here. Come up here so they can see. Come here. This is Martha, just saying hello. So I think the internet can be a very powerful thing, beneficial. There's things, any information you want now is at your fingertips. On social media, on YouTube, all these things that are out there. But I almost think, as a young guitar player, instead of a lack of information, now it's almost like too much information. I see younger players and they go look at YouTube and it's like, there's not one channel to go check out. There are not even hundreds, probably thousands of YouTube channels of people saying, I'm a guitar teacher, check out my method, or this is best, or do that. Everyone seems to think they have all the answers. So if you're a young guitar player who has not taken lessons, you can go to YouTube and while there's all this resources, like, but where do I start? Because sadly, there's a lot of stuff that's garbage. A lot of stuff that's crap or you want to disregard. Hey, get out of here. But how do you weed through that to find what is good? And no doubt there are tons of great resources online. I would agree with that, no doubt. But you have to weed through things and find them. So the flip side to that, when I come up in the 70s and started to learn to play, obviously there was no internet, so there was no YouTube. There weren't videos like that. Even instructional videos in the early 70s, they didn't exist. I think they came more about in the 80s, maybe into the 90s, right? There were companies that would record, they were VHS tapes. Larry Carlton or Steve Lukather or different guys, and you get these big clunky tapes that you could listen and watch, but there was still no interaction with that. There was, and they were beneficial, but that was what you had. You couldn't buy songbooks like you do today that had all the tablature. Also back then, if there were songbooks, they didn't tend to be as exhaustive. They also, I don't think they had tablature. I think everything was standard notation, kind of the expectation you could read. So the benefit to that, though, was that players that came up when I came up learned to play by ear. That's back when we had records. There were much fewer resources, right? Instead of everything in the world, it was very narrow. But we had the original source. We had these records. The masters, Jeff Beck and Jimmy Page and Eric Clapton, the Stones, the Beatles, maybe George Harrison, right? Hendrix, on. All these great, great rock bands, The Who, countless others. And had the original material, the albums. And what friends of mine and myself would do, drop the needle, try to hear things, get your guitar, and try to figure it out. And what that did is it really helped musicians develop their ear. Because lots of rock musicians, I would say almost all rock musicians, or maybe the vast majority, tend to play by ear. They learn to play by listening and just figuring things out rather than notation, right? Some guitar players can read and learn that way, but a lot of them, at least when I came up, that was very common. And then because they depended so much on their ears, they really developed their ears where they could hear, at a really high level. Hear something once and figure it out and just play. And that was a great thing, where I think some players today miss that. It's almost like it's too easy, like you're spoon-fed some stuff. I mean, it's cool now to be able to go on YouTube and see some jazz guitar player that I like, or finger-style guitarist, whatever, and to watch a video, and I can actually figure out exactly what they're doing. I can see the voicings they're doing, where in the neck they're playing. Or back in the day, if I was trying to listen to Jimmy Page solo or Eric Clapton, if I just had the record, I couldn't tell whether they're playing on the 5th fret of the E string or the ninth fret on the G string, or you'd have to try trial and error. And it was definitely challenging and tough, but I think it helped people really develop their ears to a very high level. So I don't have any regrets coming up when I came up. And I'll tell students now today, I almost think the internet is so vast, it's like, gee, where do I begin? So for younger players that are listening to this, I'd like to hear your opinions or your comments, what you think about that. I also encourage young players to at least take a lesson or find someone who's a little more knowledgeable than themselves. And maybe they can say, oh man, go check out this guy or this girl. They're great. This is a great YouTube channel. Check this out. And also having an idea of where that player's at. I mean, there are great resources for beginning guitars. But if you're an intermediate, or you're trying to go a little bit deeper, you want to do soloing, or you want to learn scales or some theory, or dip your toe in the beginning of jazz improvisation, where do I start? Ask someone who knows a little bit more than you, and it might be beneficial. So I'd love to hear your comments and thoughts of what people think about today. Now, don't get me wrong, I think YouTube is amazing. I love the fact that I can go back and see concerts of Wes Montgomery. I never got to see him live. I can watch him, or I love Chick Corea and see old recordings of Chick or Miles Davis. People that have been gone even for decades, but there's all these resources we can go and see that. Obviously, live music is still the best, but it's a cool resource that young people can go, and there's so many thousands and thousands of great sites on YouTube where you can learn. I just think it's tough to know maybe where to begin. I'd love to hear your comments. As always, enjoy the journey. God bless and take care.